Good afternoon and welcome to my Flash Talk presentation. My name is Rachele and I'm a second year PhD student here at the Electron Microscopy Center at Empa Dübendorf. This work is conducted under the supervision of Professor Rolf Erni and Dr. Deborah Keller. Thank you very much for this opportunity today to show our work. And today I'm going to show you how I managed to synthesize and study the formation of gold nanoparticles in ionic liquids by in situ liquid phase STEM. So, what are nanoparticles? Nanoparticles exhibit extraordinary and tunable properties, and they represent the gateway to new scientific discoveries. So they find their applications in many fields, such as light harvesting, light emission, biosensing, and catalytic applications. More specifically, we will focus on two types of nanoparticles. Metallic nanoparticles such as gold nanoparticles or semiconducting nanoparticles, also known as quantum dots. And they are special since they exhibit optoelectronic properties when their size range approaches the Bohr radius. So even though if these nanomaterials exhibit extraordinary characteristics, they still present some challenges when it comes to achieve a high quality nanoparticles and quantum dots synthesis. So what we want is a more environmentally friendly, a greener alternative synthetic strategy. And for this, we can consider ionic liquids, which represent a new frontier for nanoparticles and quantum dots green synthetic approach. But what are ionic liquids? Those are molten salts composed of bulky cationic and anionic species, as you can see on the right side of the slide. They represent a good template medium since they promote a well-controllable and efficient synthesis process, and by combining this different type of cationic and anionic species, we can get more than 10 to the power of 18 different ionic liquid combinations. They also allow a so-called all-in-one process for nanoparticle formation, since they take really part in the reaction and they do not act as just passive reagents. Moreover, they also represent a good tool for high-resolution liquid phase microscopy, since due to their low vapor pressure, they respect and survive the high vacuum of the microscope. And also they are good solvents, since they are eco-friendlier alternatives to volatile and organic or commercially available solvents. They act as solvents and stabilizing agents for nanoparticles, and the majority of them respects the 12 principles of green chemistry. So in combination to ionic liquid and nanoparticles formation, transmission electron microscopy and specifically scanning transmission electron microscopy represents the perfect technique to really have a direct view on nanoparticle formation in situ. In fact, in scanning transmission electron microscopy, we have our focused beam, which scans the sample, and through detector, we can also get from transmitted signals different results. For example, if we want to analyze heavier elements, we will use the high-angle annular dark field detector, or if you want to have a look at elements, then we will use the bright field or the angular dark field detectors. And in combination to EDX and EELS, we can really get also the chemical composition and the morphology of the sample of interest. Therefore, in order to analyze nanoparticle growth and formation in situ, high-resolution technique really provide atomic scale insights. And TEM, if it is an aberration-corrected TEM, it also provides a sub-angstrom resolution. And commercially available graphene liquid cells also help us visualize nanoparticle formation in situ. And graphene liquid cells are encapsulate some droplets of the solvent of interest, which also contains reactive precursors inside between two really thin sheets of graphene. And this allows us to have an atomic resolution imaging when using volatile commercially available solvents. But the major drawback is the contamination problem and the reproducibility issues. Therefore, we can also consider ionic liquids or freestanding ionic liquids droplet as good alternative methods to analyze and observe in situ nanoparticle growth. So these slides represent how my experimental setup looks like. In the image, we see the Protochips fusion holder, which I also use in my daily experiments. And this allows us to have a precise temperature and voltage control up to 1200 degrees. It also promotes an uniform and stable heating down to a very precise accuracy. And it also has an integrated drift and dose correction when performing imaging. So this fusion holder is composed of two heating electrodes. And when performing imaging, an e-chip is also mounted on it. And this e-chip, it's composed of holy carbon foil on silicon carbide, and it's a MEMS-based device. So this chip also ensures temperature uniformity and accuracy, and also acts as sample support for drop casting the ionic liquids. So the drop casting of the ionic liquids as freestanding happens on the active area of the chip, which you can see here on the slide. It's represented by these 9 holes on the silicon carbide layer. So this is, for example, a Protochips fusion holder that we use in our lab, and this is for the GeoGEM microscope that we have. And in the figures you can see the holder and also the mounted chip on it, which is in contact with the heating electrodes that are part of the fusion single tilt holder. Whereas here we have the Titan Themis holder, which is basically follows the same principle. And also here we can see the mounted chip on top of it with the contacting heating electrodes. So how does an experimental setup look like, or how do I prepare my sample preparation? First of all, I take my chip and I drop cast on top of this active area of the chip my ionic liquid, so that I have a freestanding ionic liquid droplet, which contains the reactive precursors that I want to look at, and of course also the metallic precursor coming from the nanoparticles that I want to reduce. Therefore, I do this drop casting by means of a hair loop on toothpick, which is filled with liquid, or I use a Dübendorf pipette. After that, the nanoreactors of the ionic liquid are left behind on this carbon foil of the active area of the chip. And by considering environmental factors such as temperature, or the electron beam itself coming from the microscope, I can trigger the formation and the growth of the metallic precursor inside the freestanding ionic liquid droplet. So we go from a static ionic liquid droplet to a molten state ionic liquid, where we grow really the gold nanoparticles in this case. And therefore, this temperature control environment with a fusion single tilt holder enables the in situ STEM observation of all the atomistic mechanisms that happen in the microscope regarding the gold nanoparticle formation. So here we have first successful results of in situ gold nanoparticles dynamics in an imidazolium-based ionic liquid, which you can see here on the top right of the slide. This is BMI chloride. And we see that this STEM time series from 0 to 10 minutes reveals a rapid coalescence of very small nanoparticles, smaller than 10 nanometers at 250 degrees. And we see that this is a classical coalescence phenomenon. But we also see on the right side of the slide that there is a local ionic liquid nanostructuring, and this is confirmed by the FFT measurement with a periodicity of approximately 5 nanometers. Moreover, here we see some STEM series at two different temperatures, 250 degrees and 60 degrees, with the visible scale bar set at 5 nanometers. And also here we see how the particle, they come together and how they really coalesce at both high elevated temperatures, 250, and also at milder temperatures. Moreover, here there is more nanoparticle dynamics in the same imidazolium-based ionic liquids. This is an Hadaf stem time series, and in the top part of the figure, we have a classical neck formation which enables the fusion between the particles in high proximity, whereas in the other example we have relaxation into spherical and less kinetically hindered particles, which suggests also atomic rearrangement. Whereas in the bottom part of the figure, we have an incomplete merging, which highlights the difficulty or the kinetic barriers that these nanoparticles have to overcome. And also here, some Hadaf STEM time series with very small nanoparticles. The scale bar is visible, where we have neck formation and coalescence, as well as surface relaxation in the middle and just classical gold nanoparticles coalescence. And this was performed at room temperature following the drop casting on the active area of the chip. Regarding the second ionic liquid that I used, this is based on tetrabutyl ammonium chloride, which has a different chemical structure from the previous one. And here in this in-situ bright field stem, we see that there is still a classical coalescence event between the particles at 60 degrees, but this happens between larger particles, and it's slower because it goes from the time slot, or the time span, it's from 0 to 10 minutes, and the particles are just generally bigger. So this coalescence occurs slowly and involves, as well as coalescence, also the neck formation, and this has to do with the viscosity of the ionic liquid, but also it's consistent with the restricted particle mobility under mild thermal activation, only at 60 degrees. So here also some bright field time series. We see nanoparticle coalescence, and also here looking at the scale bar, we see that is generally bigger. So we deal with bigger particles. And also here in the third time series, even though the particles are in high proximity, there is no Oswald ripening, no coalescence. So there is generally a restricted mobility or restricted dynamics. Here we see other Hadaf stem time series, which reveal different nanoparticle dynamics as well at room temperature in tetrabutyl ammonium chloride ionic liquid. Here we see a new event in the top part of the figure, which is a gradual dissolution of the small particle, which are around 1 to 3 nanometers, and this is considered a critical radius for this particle in order to survive under the continuous irradiation coming from the electron beam. But if we consider larger particles, as reflected in line B or C, we see that there is coalescence into bigger aggregates or post-coalescence relaxation event of particle shapes, where they assume more spherical shapes or morphologies. Also here we have Hadaf time series. In the first series at room temperature, we see nanoparticle coalescence as well as surface relaxation, or in the center there is just classical nanoparticle coalescence, and this happens between very, very small gold nanoparticles. Moreover, here we see even bigger particles in tetrabutyl ammonium chloride. Here we look at a monomer attachment of two particles in high proximity, as well as growth. And also in the last Hadaf STEM time series, we have a nanoparticle dissolution which is cannot reach the critical size radius and therefore cannot survive under the electron beam. Therefore, in this work, I showed how I managed to synthesize gold nanoparticles in citric acid-mediated synthetic strategies, and this was compatible and was allowed to observe their formation in situ by using variable temperature liquid phase STEM. This happened in two distinct ionic liquids as freestanding medium in BMI, imidazolium-based ionic liquid, which promotes a fast dynamic growth via monomer attachment, coalescence, and ripening, whereas tetrabutyl ammonium chloride, due to its high viscosity, promotes a slower dynamics, which limits nanoparticle mobility and growth due to their larger size as well. And generally, the ionic liquid morphology, here we looked at two different chemical structure, can strongly influence the observed growth pathways, but this gives us or contribute to design optimized ionic liquid systems for the fabrication of new nanomaterials that can be done in a dose control in situ liquid phase microscopy. So I thank you very much for this opportunity, and yes, thank you very much.